Okay, cool. Right. You need a yoga block and a long resistance band. It might work with a small resistance band, but long resistance band preferably, and a mat. Okay. So we're going to work on ankle mobility this morning. So we'll set up as if we're going to do hip flexor release, and we'll go from there. Oh, it's a warm morning. Okay, so knee under your block. Okay, toes onto your toes at the back. And as if we're going to do hip flexor release, but instead of having the leg out here, your foot is going to be quite close in, because as we go forward, we're going to work on ankle range. Okay, then the yoga block is just to protect the knee so it's comfortable. You can do it without. Okay, so what I want you to do is get that position correct. And as you go forward, keep that heel into the ground. I'm going to try it without the block. It's actually better without the block. If your mat is comfortable enough, maybe a cushion that's not quite as deep as a yoga block. Okay, good. We're moving forward. Matthew, what are you doing here in the morning? You obviously need to work on ankle mobility. The only thing with some of these ankle exercises is that it can put a bit more pressure on your knees. So obviously, just be careful if you struggle with your knees. Let's do 2 more on this side. Make sure the heel stays down. 1 more. Good, and then change sides. Right, so foot is quite close to the body. Good. I'm not going as far forward on this side because my butt's still a bit sore. So just in case you think one ankle is much less mobile than the other. I'll just bring it in a bit so that it goes far forward. That's better. Good. Make sure the foot is pointing forwards as well. Okay, let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Good, and relax. Okay, switch sides. We'll do 1 more set on each side. With this one, you can either have the foot onto the toes at the back, or you can just relax that foot. It doesn't matter too much with this one. We'll keep that heel down. Next one we're going to do, there's no pressure on the knees at all. So if you're struggling with this one, the next one should feel fine. Good. And then change sides. What's important to remember is if you've got ankle issues, if you've got imbalances in your ankles, what you've got to remember is really important to remember is that you can't have an imbalance in one area and then not have imbalances in other areas. So sometimes we focus so specific on what area is tight. We want to figure out exactly the area. But if you've got tightness in one area, it's going to affect the rest of the body. So try and think of the body as a whole as well. So it is good to work on ankle mobility, but it's going to create imbalances elsewhere. So we want to work on the whole body. Okay, let's do 2 more. And recover. Okay, you guys are going to lie down. Just get my stopwatch. So I want you to lie down flat on your back. Okay, and I want you to lift your leg up 90 degrees. So this lower leg is parallel to the ground. Hands behind your thigh. When you know what I'm doing, you're going to relax the head down. All you're going to do is circle the foot clockwise. Okay, you can start now, rest your head on the ground if you're happy with it. Go through its full range of movement. Now, I want you to do half the speed of your normal speed, and then do half the speed again. So really, really slowly, really trying to work through that full range. Now, you'll feel your tibialis anterior, that shin muscle at the front, maybe working really hard. Your feet working really hard, that's normal. And you can move the toes too, that's fine. You can curl them in, take them out. Really trying to work through that full range. Slow it right down. I found this really hard. 10 more seconds. Now we're going to do 3 exercises. You can build it up to do all 3 on one side and then switch sides, but I get tired and then change sides. Okay, so exactly the same again, get that position right. Okay, let's go clockwise for me. Remember, really slowly. I'd rather you do 10 in 1 minute than go really, really quickly. Now, what you're trying to see is there a difference between sides? So my left side just feels more restricted doing this. It doesn't feel as fluid. Now, the more you do this, the better it gets. And if you have issues with your ankles, then I will want to be mobilizing almost every day. Not going to get fixed by doing it once a week, but it does all help. Now relax. Okay, switch sides for me. Back to the other side, same setup. We're going to go anti-clockwise. Go. Both hands are behind the leg, just behind the knee. Make sure you're not going too fast. Your ankles probably haven't worked through this full range of movement for a while. We've got 10 more seconds. And recover. Oh. Okay, and change sides, anti-clockwise. Flickering on this side. If you struggle with your squat, if you feel like you don't squat correctly, a lot of it is often down to ankle mobility. So hard, I can feel my muscles working so hard. 3 more seconds. And recover. How can it be so tiring? Okay, switch sides. This is the last one. We're going to work into full plantar flexion when we point the foot, and then into dorsiflexion when we pull the toes in. Okay, are we ready? Again, don't rush it. Half your normal speed, and then half it again. Really slowly. Now you might feel the muscles in the front of the shin, front of the foot working really hard. You might not. Go with what you feel. Just try and work through your full range of movements. Twenty more seconds on this side. And relax. Okay, let's change sides. Okay, are we ready? Let's go. Point the foot, let's go. Make sure the other foot is pointing up to the ceiling, the leg looks straight. Don't need your toes pointing up to the ceiling. Sorry, just make sure your knee and legs pointing up to the ceiling, not relaxed back to the side. 20 more seconds. And relax. Okay, just carefully coming up. Okay, and I want you to take it over to the wall. So this exercise that we do at the wall, it's hard for me to demonstrate in here because I'll use this as my example. Okay, so we've done this plenty of times. Take the toes right into the wall. Moving forward, you'll need to touch the wall. If it doesn't, you're going to work there. Okay, if not, just keep coming back gradually until you get to the point where you can just touch the wall with your knee and your heel must remain on the ground. When you've got that point, then I want you to work through 10 of them. Make sure the foot is pointing forwards. Okay, doesn't really matter what your back leg does, don't worry too much about that. Mine's pointing out because I'm looking at you guys, but just go with where it's comfortable. And obviously we're looking for symmetry on both sides. So it'll be interesting to compare. One more on this side. And then switch sides. You can start from either this. I just like to start from the same point just to compare. And do 10. Obviously, if the heel comes off the ground, this is better done barefoot because in shoes you can't always feel, and especially with the shape of shoes now, you can't always tell whether the heel's pressed down or not. 10 on each side. Okay, hopefully you've done 10 on each side. Okay, so what we're going to do next is you need your resistance band. Let me just put this screen up a little bit. Okay, so you're going to wrap it around your ankle. It's the same movement again. Okay, now you want to create some tension on there. So I'm going to step on the band like that, and you can ease the other foot forward. Now the foot is pointing forwards, the front foot. Exactly the same movement. You're going to go forward, keep the heel down. The heel must come down, stay down. But now you've got some resistance on. You don't step off the band. Okay. And do 10 on each side. Now you can add a little bit of height, but my yoga block's probably too high, so maybe like a book or something. Don't need to do it now, but if you're doing this regularly, that can help a little bit. Okay, and then when you've done 10 on the other side, I'll go to this side. Switch sides when you've done 10. Got that tension on, stand on that band, and then take that foot forward. All right, so it's pointing directly forward. Getting the setup is the trickiest bit. We're just going to do 10 on each side, and we'll have to finish there because I didn't realize time disappears. Okay, good. If you wanted to work on ankle mobility and you wanted to do it every day, I would do the one where we lay on the ground. The other two are good as well. Maybe do the first one we did as like a warm up. You can do any of them, but I like the one where you lay on the ground, where you go clockwise, anti-clockwise, and then extend the foot and flex the foot, because then you're working through all the ranges of movement. It takes 6 minutes. But that's some ankle stuff for you. Thanks for joining me.